This final podcast for Chapter 7 will be a review from Principles of Marketing of segmentation, targeting, and positioning. And I realized that I forgot to put a joke in the Chapter 7b podcast. So let's start with our joke here. If you are an American when you go into the bathroom, and you are an American when you come out of the bathroom, what are you while you are in the bathroom? You're a peon. I think that one's pretty funny. Okay, what is the purpose of market segmentation? The purpose of market segmentation is to identify groups of customers who essentially buy products for similar reasons, and they share similar characteristics. And what you should remember from your Principles of Marketing class is that there are 4 key steps in this process. Typically in Principles of Marketing, we do group steps 1 and 2 together, and so in some classes it might have been a 3-step process where 1 and 2 have been combined. Let's review what we know about these steps. First of all, companies must choose what are the appropriate bases to segment the markets on. And rather than reviewing consumer segmentation in terms of demographics, psychographics, and behavior-based variables, which if you don't remember those, please review them because you'll need them for your major field test. In business-to-business markets, we typically divide markets based on either industry codes. The industry codes we use in the United States are called the North American Industrial Classification System, NAICS. I use it frequently to do research because our library database is organized by industry code. I've also mentioned the 80-20 rule. Firm size is a very important variable, whether that's measured in terms of revenue or market share or number of employees. And what we see in technology markets is a company's organizational culture is a critically important variable related to their purchases of technology. So generally, companies that are highly innovative want to buy from new tech startups. Large established companies feel like they need a large established vendor. So corporate culture can be a very important variable to understand in selecting a target market. One of the most common variables to segment markets in technology industries is whether we're using vertical or horizontal segments. Vertical segments are industry specific, and typically each industry uses technology for a different reason. And the implication here is that if I'm Microsoft and I'm selling both to education and to retail, I'm going to have different value propositions to sell my software solutions. Horizontal segments cut across industry boundaries, and they are typically function specific. So an example of a horizontal segment would be salespeople. So when I sell Salesforce.com software, I'm selling to all salespeople across all industries and not only to, say, salespeople in the pharmaceutical industry. And so this issue of vertical versus horizontal market segmentation is one that's been debated quite a bit in technology markets. And what we do in Chapter 7 is we try to give some idea of when should a company approach vertical market segments and when should they use horizontal market segments. And that's on page 251. Step 2 essentially says, once we've decided the appropriate base to segment the market, let's go ahead and describe the customers in each of those segments. And the reason that we need a description of customers is because, again, in order to market correctly to customers, high-tech companies have to have a very rich, intimate understanding of their customers' business, how their customers compete in their industries, and how technology facilitates their ability to do so. And what we see here is we give an example of a study from Pew, the Pew organization, who does amazing research on what some of these descriptors for various technology categories might be. The third step in market segmentation is essentially to evaluate the attractiveness of those segments. And segments vary in terms of sales volume. All other things being equal, companies do prefer to go after larger segments. The growth rate in that segment, all other things being equal, companies like to target markets that are growing in size rather than are stable or shrinking. What is the intensity of competition in that segment, and how hard are competitors going to work to defend their existing customer base? So many new tech startups try to use a strategy called flying below the radar, where they don't want to attract the attention of big companies like Microsoft, and so they might go after smaller segments because they want to avoid that head-to-head competition. And finally, what does my company know in terms of my ability to meet the needs of customers in that segment? For example, if I'm a company that's going to be selling software to the banking industry, do I even know anything about how banks are run and how bankers talk and what their use of technology is like? And if I don't have that inside information on the market segment that I'm targeting, I'm going to have a really tough time gaining credibility with customers. So one of the key strategies that we see in technology markets is they may hire for their executive team a key leader from the customer industry that they're going after. They might hire a banking executive to come on and be their chief marketing officer, for example. And then the first step in segmentation is to actually develop a market position, which essentially means creating a strategy so that customers in that target market perceive your company in the way that you want them to. And if you need a review on positioning, you should go back to your Principles of Marketing notes and review perceptual maps, which are critically important, and also review the use of multi-attribute models. On multi-attribute models, we may do an example in class because I think they're so critically important, and rather than seeing the example on the next slide, you can go ahead and review that on page 254. This last section of the chapter should be review for you, with the exception of probably vertical and horizontal markets. And so let's conclude with a really nice Zen joke. What did the Buddhist say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. Did you get it? I think it's cute. Bye.